you know, to some degree of like, okay, we're going to meet you where you're at, right? They've had a lot of interviews kind of saying that. So I'm curious what Bellular is going to say here. Because I mean, based on the title, it's definitely pretty controversial. So let's take a look.
This is one of those times where I really do not like being correct. So, to begin, a month ago, I said this. Now, I'm not saying that this is the end of the world, but I am saying this has got the potential to do serious damage. There's a reason why. Because World of Warcraft is about to get its best chance ever, and right as it has that chance, they fired the people who could capitalize on it. Very unfortunately, that has come to pass. But I need to be clear here. Barring those whose roles were cut, it's the people who remain at the company for whom we should be the most compassionate. That's because shit rolls downhill, and that they got anything done for the release or the reveal of Midnight is a testament to those people's hard work. From all I've seen, the actual experience at Gamescom was fantastic. And when we look at the timing, these cuts happened 1 month ago. 1 month before the expansion reveal. Can you imagine the chaos? So, I'll just say, if you're angry at the people doing the work, I think your anger is misplaced. And now that that line in the sand has been drawn, let's get stuck into things. So, this has been called the worst expansion reveal of all time, which is a little debatable. There's a few that went a bit weird, but I think the basic point is right. There was fragmented information, no clear communication.
I'm just gonna pause real quick. One of the things that I always find like kind of funny and ironic when people hate on Blizzard, like a bunch of, you know, and Blizzard deserves hate when it comes to some things, and they deserve praise when it comes to others, like we just talked about. But one of the funny things that I find ironic is like someone will type in the chat or in YouTube comments or whatever, or the forums, and say like, I've been playing since 2004, and like the Blizzard devs have no idea what they're doing and no idea, you know, what they're talking about. And you know, maybe even I've said something similar at some point in the past. Maybe, you know, I probably have, like, you know, playing Arena at some point, because it's easy to think those things. It's harder to actually, like, do better yourself. But anyway, the thing I find ironic and kind of funny is every Blizzard dev that I know, right? And not even just developers, but team members, people that are in QA, people that are working on the game, the marketing team, like every single person that I know that have ever worked at Blizzard is a WoW player. That it started, you know, in vanilla or TBC or, you know, and still plays, and they are a long-term WoW player that got hired by Blizzard at some point, and now they're trying their best to make their game that they love into the best it can be, right? So it's basically you guys. It's all of you guys that eventually got hired by Blizzard, and now you work at Blizzard and you played your favorite game. So Blizzard today, for the most part, is like a lot of the employees, I don't want to say all of them, but a lot of them are you guys, are WoW players, are WoW fans that eventually got hired by their favorite company because they wanted to make the game better. Which is interesting. Isn't that not funny? It's ironic. It's you guys. WoW, we suck. Okay, so that is an appropriate comment. WoW, we suck is sure. It's like you're allowed to say that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Okay, so maybe WoW players don't know what they're talking about then. Maybe we don't know what we're talking about. But that's the way to say it. Are you saying I suck? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. All right, there we go. Anyway, I found that like a funny note, because it's like every single person I know that works there is like just a long-term WoW player, man. That's it. That's what it comes down to. Anyway.
Communication, a quietly cancelled deep dive with Metzen, info dump panels that were not streamed. I mean, is the zone called Quel'Thalas, like it says here? Or Eversong Woods, like it says here? Nobody really knows. And as we here watched it all go on, it was clear people were feeling the same thing on Tuesday night and over the next few days. A feeling of, is that it? Is that the expansion? Okay, new zones, dungeons, delves, one spec. Oh, well, that seems mid. I actually completely disagree about the contents of the expansion, but I would not blame you. If you were at the crowd in those almost secretive panels, you would have known that they revealed that Midnight is shaping up to be much more than what was loudly publicly announced. It looks great for us, and even better for the people they need most, the new and returning players. But by messing this whole thing up, Blizzard missed their biggest chance at proving to the world that WoW is worth playing again and worth paying attention to. Okay, now it's time to see exactly how it went wrong.
Okay. see what's going on here.
If you want to
Bellular.
know what's in the expansion right away, well, you would have had to have scoured Twitter for phone pictures of slides. You'd have had to have combed through YouTube shorts that had weird generic titles. And the problem is that even if you did that, you would have been very likely to encounter lore mistakes or key terms being spelled wrong in those new bits of information. Now, you could have waited for the official VODs. That is, if you knew they were going to exist, and if you did watch them, well, maybe you saw the one with the unwatched.
Okay, so what Bellular is saying here isn't that midnight is bad. He's saying the comms at Gamescom were bad. Okay, I misunderstood the title. I think I generally agree with that. Like, the comms at Gamescom could have been better. Sure. You know, like when even yesterday, like I was doing a whole stream of like a Gamescom a recap where I was going over everything, and I had to basically ask the Twitch chat. I was like, guys, link me everything you guys know, and we're gonna cover this one thing at a time. And it was just a bunch of random like creator YouTube interviews that I had to like scavenge the internet for, and a bunch of random Twitter posts. And if it's like, if you didn't do your homework, then you're kind of left in the dark. And if you really dug, like, you could find it, but it wasn't like just here's what is going on, here's the updates, enjoy, you know. So I guess I agree with that.
Bad audio, or the one that got pulled because of major errors with the video itself. You could have went to Blizzard's website, but that actually would have been the biggest mistake of all. Just take a look at this. Explore! As you journey through, you'll encounter. This zone is filled with stuff. And when you look through the copy, it is generic trash. And it's also...
Wait, what? I never read this. Explore the reimagined Eversong Woods. Explore the reimagined Amani Troll. Explore the new and mysterious zone. Explore the Tempestuous Voidstorm. Whatever, yeah. As you journey through, as you journey through, as you journey through, as you journey through, you'll encounter, you'll encounter, you'll encounter, you'll encounter. The zone is filled with, the zone is filled with, the zone is filled with. Bro, that's crazy that got approved. I never saw this. Bro, that is crazy. That's crazy. That's a thing. Oh my goodness. All right. There we go.
Also completely wrong. This says the Amani have rebuilt their empire with the aid of the Zandalari. Just that the thing is, that's actually not the expansion plot. That's something that happened almost 3,000 years ago, and no, this is not a time travel expansion. And once people called this out, the post, well, started to be edited. So here's a screenshot of them somehow publishing something that is half edited, and now here's a final version that has been fixed. Sort of. Because it still, sadly, is very weird. Like this bit about the Voidstorm, quote, so chaotic and violent, it is drenched in void. What does that actually mean? That makes no sense in the WoW lore. It's one of those statements that's a bunch of words that do follow on from each other but don't really make any sense. And when you look through, it still says, as you journey, repeatedly. This is terrible copywriting. Copywriting is an important discipline, especially in marketing. I don't know, go watch Mad Men, but it's clearly here outsourced and badly written, many think with AI assistance. So bad though that Redditors got ChatGPT to write better summaries instantly. And I can certainly say, well, to say that this is AI generated would almost be an insult to the AI labs. I know that sounds crazy, but these are the mistakes the AIs made like 2 years ago, not today. Which is to say, this should not really have happened. I mean, when your official site has incorrect information, you know something is up. And unfortunately, that's only a taste, a sampling, a starter of what's wrong.
Okay. I mean,
Problem 1, not front-loading key information. First of all, the time delay. The expansion reveal was Tuesday night. The systems panel actually
bro, just watching that devour demon hunter, bro, like I've got to send that, man. There's no way. It's like the whole spec is basically like a shadow priest in void form, and you're trying to stay in that form as long as possible, and you're just sending as much damage as possible to keep it up. Like, that just sounds so fun. And you're like a caster mid-range. Like, it just looks sick.
Explaining changes was 4 days later on Saturday. That leaves an information vacuum, which is a mistake. You see, people see the first wave of information, then it's followed by silence, and naturally people assume that, well, that's it. 4 days is more than enough time for people to make a final decision of, I'm not interested, I guess WoW's still trash, who cares? And then there's the info itself. WoW had reported that transmog was going to be free. That turns out not to be the case. In fact, the whole system is getting a revamp. A fantastic revamp, by the way.
Really good revamp, yeah.
Blizzard didn't tell us right away. About 5 days later, you could finally see the full panel exploring it. That's the same panel that got uploaded, announced, and then pulled because it had errors. And the Xbox Wire blog post reported some, quote, nameplate and HUD updates, and it took us almost a week to learn that they actually mean this, which is amazing. It's a complete modern nameplate overhaul to replace add-ons like Plater and Tidy Plates. Fantastic stuff. And even this, a built-in DPS meter, and also this, built-in boss alerts. These are fantastic things. This is front page expansion selling news, especially to lapsed WoW players who are jaded about the add-on stuff. Yet, by the time that information was disseminated, many people will have already made...
I think these are all fair criticisms. Do you guys think if this was a BlizzCon, that any of this would have happened? Like, if it was their own event down in Anaheim, in California, do you guys think, like, I feel like if it was a BlizzCon, like, none of this would have happened. No. I feel like it's because Gamescom, you have one small booth on a massive event. I didn't realize until I was there, but Gamescom is the biggest gaming event in the world, which is 350,000 people attended the event, which that's crazy. I mean, that is a lot of people. So I think like they have one small booth at the event, and there's a bunch of different dev panels and a bunch of different stuff, but I think the planning would have been much different at BlizzCon, for sure. So, but I agree with Bellular, man. Like, all of the most exciting stuff you had to like dig for in a dev panel, right?
Made their first impressions, their initial judgments.
Yeah, tactics.
And that
right.
is something
definitely.
that you do need to control. It's very easy in the realm of marketing to forget that the people you're marketing to actually have lives. Whenever you get their attention, you need to get your core points across. I mean, the gameplay trailer didn't even bother to show off those huge new upgrades. We were told about a new epic battleground, but not that World PvP is actually getting its own section of a zone, which is proper exciting. They said the player versus NPC comp stomp was getting renamed to Training Ground. They didn't say that it was becoming a full-on PvP tutorial designed to onboard players to that experience. Do you know?
I mean, they said all that, but you had to dig for it in the panels, right? Like we learned all that info yesterday when we spent 6 hours deep diving into every video uploaded on the internet about midnight, but it took a while to find all that info, right?
That there's a complete overhaul to the new player experience, including a tutorial on interrupts and actual basic game mechanics that people need to know. You probably don't know from Blizzard's PR wave, but hey, now you do. The list goes on and on, so I'll skip ahead to problem 2. Problem 2, leaving huge revelations to be uncovered in interviews. This is a massive mistake. The only combat changes announced were Prey and the new Demon Hunter spec, and naturally that meant people were very much underwhelmed. But it was only a few days later that we learned that most classes are getting major changes. In fact, their whole design philosophy has changed, and we're going to learn more about that soon. We only know that because the right person was asked the right question in an interview. It was not part of any proper, well-planned announcement. It didn't happen along with visuals, such that it would actually stick in people's minds. No, people learned this because of a Wowhead post or a tweet covering an interview. That is not how you get stuff across in a way that means people will remember. And it wasn't until Saturday night that we found out that Midnight was bringing a stat squish. Now, it's not expansion selling news, but it is a huge bit of news for players. Problem 3 then, not having first-party sources.
Do you guys like Stat Squish? One's in the chat if you like Stat Squish. Two's in the chat if you don't like Stat Squish. Like, okay, yeah, so most people like it. I like it quite a bit, actually, but I was reading what's it, like a Twitter thread or something, and someone was like, I like big numbers because it makes it feel like it's a modern expansion. I don't want to be hitting hundreds in like World of Warcraft's 12th expansion or whatever. And it's like, I guess that kind of makes sense. Or is it the 11th expansion? Whatever. I guess that kind of makes sense. But for me, in terms of just visibility, especially as a content creator, when you have like 7 million, 14 million, like 2 million, it's just like, bro, what is going on? Like, I want to see just like tangible stuff on the screen, right? So I like it.
By not being a reliable fixed source of information, Blizzard opened the door to a very bad experience. They fumbled the front loading first. That cuts off the less interested players. You know, arguably the most important thing this week. But then dedicated players had a bad experience next, not even being able to find information, having to scrub through YouTube shorts. Even Wowhead, the de facto news site, has been all over the place, trying to verify things and update articles as fast as they can. And we delayed all of our coverage, basically, to avoid publishing misinfo and just doing pointless videos. Problem 4, not knowing the actual truth. Like the Silvermoon drama. Quoting one of the live panels, we heard there's only a small sanctuary of Silvermoon open to the Alliance, and for the rest, it is kill on sight. People started to get real mad about that. I actually thought it kind of sounded fun, but hey, whatever. That's not the point. The point is, there was a lot of confusion and anger. Days later, in a fireside chat that was only unofficially streamed, Maria clarified. Basically, she got her wording a bit wrong, and only 1/3 of Silvermoon is Horde only, while the rest is shared. That's very different, and to be very clear,
very different.
I'm not really blaming Maria here whatsoever. I'm not going to begrudge someone for getting a detail wrong in a game that's this big. It can literally just be that a phrase came out wrong, and frankly, whenever your overall communication strategy is so bad that it actually hinges on stuff like this, a developer happening to get absolutely everything perfectly right, well, that's just bad strategy. And I want you to think about it in a little bit of a different way. Blizzard sent their design director out to an announcement and a wave of interviews, and she didn't have all the correct information that she needed. That is a serious process issue, and it may sound kind of wild to you, but you have to remember, Maria is probably right now working on The Last Titan, and perhaps even working on the patches for The Last Titan. These people have so much stuff crammed in their head. Now, the other thing is obvious confusion.
That is crazy to think about. I don't think I think about that enough. Midnight hasn't even shipped. She's thinking Last Titan. That's kind of nuts, dude.
Confusion. In the press kit, the zone description says Eversong Woods, but in the shorts and some text, it's called Quel'Thalas. In interviews, devs call it Eversong Woods.
Bro, someone linked this in the chat. Only just realized Midnight will be patched 12.0, aka when the clock strikes 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Dude, that is actually sick. What a great visual. We talked about this yesterday, that Midnight was 12, but like, yeah, so it is the 12th expansion. If you count vanilla, so it's the 11th expansion. If you don't count, like if you, is TBC the first expansion? Yes, the 11th expansion, 12.0, 12th patch. Sick, all right.
Which is it? I can't tell you for sure, and by itself, that's not a big deal. But it does prove that different departments have different information.
Classic
or just
confirmed, yeah.
Look, we're all WoW players. Most of us would understand what you mean when you say any of those words, but if you're going to have a coordinated communication strategy, then you settle on the words that you use for things. And to me, this shows that there was not a well-coordinated communication strategy. And look, there's a lot more that I could say in this, but I don't want to waste your time. I imagine I've at least shown how there was a lot of messy stuff here and how the Gamescom thing didn't really seem to work out. But I started this video with a quote from a video we did a month ago. And that's because what's actually important is figuring out why this happened.
Okay. Bunch of people got laid off,
this
right?
isn't Xbox skimping on marketing spend. I mean, they paid for the opening night live slot, and we know that those are serious money. They have a huge area at Gamescom, with tons of creators for the event. The cinematic even had a special edit for the stage, which was really cool, by the way.
I never saw that. That's
Most
sick.
people there say it was an excellent event, and actually,
I had a ton of fun.
ran
Yeah.
really well. So the people actually doing Gamescom absolutely seem to have aced it. They were able to stream all of those creator events, so they, you know, did have an internet connection. Why were the panels not streamed? Not exactly sure. They had setups to record those panels, so why were the VODs messy in how they came out? Hard to know, and it kind of suggests this might be something else. Now, the obvious first thing is that something quite simply went wrong. As an example, a deep dive with Metzen on the schedule just vanished overnight. and I don't think it's really worth reading into that specifically. That could be any number of things.
That would have been nice to have a Mets
so I think
interview.
it would be quite irresponsible to start speculating and heaping on pressure for just that. But mistakes and changing plans are one thing. The other thing is how you triage changing plans, and it seems to me there's a resourcing issue. You know, it is a shame that they fired the one team literally perfect for this. Now, we know that Microsoft laid off 9,000 staff earlier. Well, they've laid off many more staff actually this year, but the most recent layoffs, just over a month ago, were 9,000 staff. And up to half of those were from Xbox, which does include Blizzard. And we know that at least the social media team based in NA, that they were axed. We know that the publishing wing and quite a lot of other non-sort of core development, but very, very important departments were cut and hit very heavily. Now, they were the ones who used to pump out the viral shorts and create the infographics, and they did a fantastic job in communicating Blizzard's core messages. Now, they were then replaced by an outsourced team, one that obviously does not understand the game. And I'm happy enough to say that because look at some of the 11.2 communications, how poorly written those were, just like this, how for Mists of Pandaria they got key things wrong, like literally saying that Pandaria is the Timeless Isle. Lots of bizarre stuff that an internal Blizzard team would just not get wrong.
That's crazy.
This does
I missed
explain
that. Oh my
the
gosh.
one showcasing of the Devourer spec, ignoring the juicy bits. It's as if it was done by people who don't know what players would actually be excited about. It would have been great to tell people that it's got a melee hybrid build and it's got new hero towns. There's more as well. It's why the one that quotes all the wrong info about Silvermoon is still up, and why there's nothing new or interesting. No rapid clarifications, no new infographics. The part that sticks with me the most is the VODs going up completely busted. Whoever's on their end is either not equipped or was simply rushed. And it's not really their fault, it's the situation they were put in. Blizzard had a fantastic social media team who were doing some of their best work at the time Microsoft got rid of them, which I must remind you was like 4 weeks, 5 weeks away from this expansion
That's
reveal.
crazy.
There pretty
All
much
right.
couldn't have been
That's
a worse
making sense
time to
then.
axe
Oh
that
my
team.
goodness.
And as I sit here, the fireside chats from Saturday afternoon aren't up yet. The host of one of them, Mr. GM, also said that he doesn't know when they'll be up. And it's not like Blizzard don't know. When Ian Hazzikostas, game director, took stage for the systems panel on Saturday, he actually opened with an almost apology. To quote him, "Thank you for your patience over the course of the past week as we've tried to get out all of the information. I think you only say that if you know that something isn't right." And hey, pretty cool that he said that. It is a bit of a wink of like, hey, we in the team kind of know. And that does feel reassuring.
Yeah, that's
so
nice.
They see what's going on, I think. But they're obviously busy with all of their own commitments. I mean, I can imagine there are some strongly worded Slack messages and internal emails flying around the place. Whenever something ends up as bungled as this, it's always a bit of a mess internally in companies, and I'd certainly say I don't have much faith that the breakdown of why these things went wrong will.
For everyone in the chat right now listening, do you guys generally agree as a Blizzard, as a WoW player, as a Blizzard fan, was it hard for you guys to understand what was actually announced, where to get the information, what am I excited for? Or did you feel like it was pretty easy? Like, you know, I know what's going on. Yes, sort of. Yes. It was impossible. Yeah. I got zero info. So yeah, so info was scattered. Yeah. Okay. So like, I guess I generally agree. I when I saw the title, when it said Midnight's reveal never stood a chance, I thought he was saying like Midnight sucked or like there wasn't enough cool stuff announced. And I was like, really, what is he gonna say here? But like, sure, yeah, it could have all been smoother, definitely.
Be that helpful. I just don't believe it. It's abundantly clear those making the resourcing decisions just don't really have a clue. You can't get an outsourced team to be reacting, you know, swiftly and effectively in a case like this. They're moving in their KPIs and their OKRs, their numbers, blah, blah, blah. They'll post a ton of shorts. They'll post blog posts, you know, they'll send out widgets, even if, say, the titles of those shorts don't make sense, even if a bunch of it's poorly written, even if the information is off, because they're an outsourced team. They don't know this shit. And I truly believe if they still had their own internal social team, that there would have been a chance this could have been salvaged. Things posted smarter, not harder. Questions being caught on Twitter and clarified.
Is there not just like an official Blizzard announcement of Midnight and all of its features on their official website where there's drop downs and explanations for the new zone, the new spec, the new talents, the new add-on replacement features, like details? And like, is there anything like that where it just kind of recaps everything? No, nobody uses to. There is now, I think, because like I feel like that's kind of what we needed, right? Just like an official announcement that kind of goes over everything. Like, that'd be great.
Perhaps even some jokes about the whole affair that would diffuse the horrible vibes all around. And as time passed, clips of the panel has spread. And that is good. People are learning things, but the information still is not centralized. At least it's out there. Some people have stopped dooming, and the expansion looks a lot better than it did on Tuesday night. Seriously. Game-changing UI updates, class reworks, real PvP changes, and overall, I'm personally really down. This shit appeals to me. And I'm not going to say that it's too late, but this absolutely was Blizzard's ball to drop, and it has been dropped. Now, it's not all doom, though. They've got some time to recover. We know that Alpha is in a few weeks, and blog posts are coming soon. Now, that does not change the fact that we saw this coming. We knew that these layoffs were going to be a problem. That's why, a month ago, in our video covering this, we quite literally said, wow, this seems poorly timed. Wouldn't it be a shame if the reveal of your new expansion was perhaps somehow torpedoed by making these cuts? I don't like being right and things like this. I would far rather have everyone be properly excited for Midnight and just get to talk about the game. But obviously, the morons from the enterprise software as a service company known as Microsoft don't really understand these things. Spreadsheet cost cutting often.
I think people are generally still pretty excited about Midnight. And like, am I wrong here? Like, I feel like the overall community excitement is definitely there. Like more, I'm hearing more, I'm excited for Midnight than I am Gamescom didn't reveal it as well as it could be. Meh, I'm not meh. Okay, maybe I'm off here. Maybe it's because I was at the event, like everyone there seemed very excited, and I came home and reviewed everything, and there was a lot of exciting news. But a lot of you guys are saying kind of meh, a lot of on the fencers. Okay. I mean, a lot of my chat also plays Classic WoW, which is like good. Classic Andy chat. Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of my chat plays Classic WoW, and a lot of you guys are probably like RuneScapers, Classic WoWers, stuff like that. So, if I was asking this to a retail only audience, I think people are pretty excited. I mean, I think it's going to take War Within just up a notch everywhere, right? I think it's just going to be a better War Within, right?
And targets the soft skills first. Things like crisis management, or even just an appreciation of that team knows the specifics of this game's community. Maybe they therefore give us value that an outsourced team can't, because the outsourced team isn't really a member of the community that they're trying to speak to. It's the sort of thing that people used to running Microsoft Teams or, whatever product line within Microsoft quite simply would not understand. And looking at Xbox as a whole, I mean, a company that has pretty much spent a good 15 years running many studios into the ground. They had, a little bit of a positive spurt, but we've seen the hits in 2025, the sheer quantity of killed games, and I think we've quite clearly seen that with AI stuff on the rise for Microsoft as a company, they really couldn't give a about games anymore. And sadly, the prime victim of this has been Midnight, because Midnight deserved better.
I mean,
do you know what's
that's
funny
fair,
about
yeah.
this? Blizzard's patch reveals are better than what's happened for Midnight. We get, an online presentation that centralizes information. We have an embargoed wave of interviews that will come out in a more controlled fashion. Ones where the interviewers aren't retreading ground or working through partial.
That's a fair point from Bellular. That is actually completely fair. Like the patch, what's coming out in a patch is announced, it's clear, we know exactly what's going on. I mean, to be fair, in a patch though, there's a lot less content. In Midnight, there's way more content, so there is a lot to cover, but that is fair, yeah.
Knowledge. If you've been following, you'll know one person sort of stole the show here. Jade Martin, a lead combat designer.
Bro, I said the same thing when I watched this interview. I was like, bro, who is this guy? I didn't know who Jade Martin was before this, but now I do. This guy crushed it. Every single answer, he's just like spitting. He knows exactly what's going on. This guy gave us a ton of great information. It's like, yes, Jade Martin, good. This guy's locked in and dialed.
In interviews, he had the quality that we always love to see developers bring out, visibly passionate about Devourer and the class changes. He answered questions in depth with a smile. Imagine a WoWcast talking about Devourer and class philosophy. That would have went down well, just like the Legion Remix WoWcast, because funnily enough, we've already got a format for diving into these details. People loved seeing the contagious enthusiasm on display. And if the devs are so excited, how can the game not at least be fun? That's good natural marketing. It's a strategy that works for them. And hell, because it was nearby, they even had Ian show up for Echo's Race to World First studio to talk to camera. That should have been a victory lap, but all these issues cast a shadow over it all. So I hope the Blizzard got a solid plan for PR around the alpha, and I hope they have something else in the tank for new and returning players, you know, from a communication.
Dude, I was like 20 minutes from the Echo studio too. I was thinking about stopping by like so many times, but we were there such a short amount of time, and every day was just packed. There was like no time. I could have maybe went Friday afternoon for like a little bit, but it was just like, at that point, I was so tired. I was just laying there like, oh my goodness. But I think it was sick that Ian showed up. Yeah. Oh, I haven't quit RuneScape, man. I'll be playing more. What up, Mistat?
Standpoint. Maybe something like that Illyria animated short, which currently has got a cool 8 million views. But if I'm honest with you, I worry that things like that will exist in the future. I do not see today's Microsoft as a company willing to fund things like that Illyria short. Things that, you know, aren't direct performance marketing, because they clearly don't care about those soft factors. They clearly don't have an understanding of how engaged game communities work. No, the fact is, the WoW team, I think, are doing a great job turning Midnight into something that, well, we'll probably all actually want to play, because it looks great to me. But Blizzard, the corporate entity, freshly off multiple rounds of cuts, has clearly not sold this well, and clearly can't. Not because of bad people on the front line, but because of bad strategy and, quite obviously, thoughtless leadership. Now, there is one bit of confusion that I'll cut everyone some slack for, because WoW's lore goes a long, long way back. So if you saw the Midnight Cinematic, you didn't really know everything that was going on in it, well, I've done a scene-by-scene breakdown. You can check.
Wait, hold up. I'm reading the special thanks on this side, and it says producers. What does Bellular mean by producers?
Because WoW's lore goes
There's a list of like 50 names here. Are those all the people that went into making this video? There's no way. Oh, Patreon. Oh, Patreon. They're people that they're like subscribers, and they're called producers. I wonder why they're called producers. I guess they're the ones that produced it by funding it. That's interesting. Okay.
Long way back. So if you saw the Midnight Cinematic, you didn't really know everything that was going on in it, well, I've done a scene-by-scene breakdown. You can check it out next, and if you do, it'll mean that when the expansion info does come out properly, you'll basically understand its context. And honestly, it's a banging trailer. So, go check it out.
Dun, 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 dun. Nice. All right. I mean, I agree with Bellular. Sure. Yeah. Midnight is exciting, but they didn't reveal it as well as they could have. Sure. I thought this video was something completely different when I read the title, and I was like, oh no, what's going on? What did I miss? But yeah, sure. Yeah, they could have announced things better, smoother, quicker, more accurately. But here we are. Still excited for Midnight, though. There we go. Ruckus, thanks for the Prime for 16 months, my friend. I appreciate it. Your friend Mitch has a gambling addiction. Dude, yeah, just he's doing his thing. He's doing his thing, man. IMO add-ons should be erased or at least transition to remove all of them. Yeah, they're working on that. What is exciting about it exactly? I like the idea of details being added in, boss alerts being added in. There's a third one. details, boss alerts, and plater being added in. Like the baseline default experience is getting better. They're adding an introduction to PvP against AI bots, which like training grounds, which I think is cool. I think housing, obviously, but like, yeah, housing aside, I think like they're just kind of making the game better everywhere, right? I think that's what looks good. It's just like I had fun with Warthen, and now it's like everywhere it's just a little bit better, right? Yeah. And then the new Devourer, the new Demon Hunter Devourer spec looks really cool, so I'll be checking that out. We going back to RuneScape or RS3 at some point? Probably not RS3. I will be playing more RuneScape though. It's just kind of win, right? Trying to fit it into the schedule. Housing needs imports and exports like Path of Exile. Yeah, they do. They will have that. I think that's been confirmed. Yeah, I think they've already confirmed that, right? Pretty sure. Maybe people say retail's a mobile game. I don't know what they would even mean by that. Like I don't think retail's a mobile game at all. Haven't played since DF Season 2. Been thinking about playing. I think midnight would be a good time to jump in. That's what I'm gonna jump in. All right, guys. I am going to start my Brooks sponsored segment, guys. This is the final Brooks sponsored segment. I'll be giving them a couple shout outs today, but for the next 3 hours, thank you to Brooks. We have 50% off subs. That's tier 1 subs. That's gifted subs. That's all of the subs. Well, primes are already free, but you know what I mean. 50% off subs. Thank you to Brooks, guys. They have a brand new shoe coming out called the Ghost Max 3. It's actually out if you want to check it out. There should be links around the screen. They sent it to me. It's very, very comfortable, very, very stable. It's been a great... I actually ran in it this morning. This morning was actually a pretty quick morning, so I only did a mile. But I had a quick run this morning, and it was nice. It was comfortable. It's beautiful. Massive shout out Brooks, guys. Show him some love.